microphone on mute. And we can see that we started recording. Just to let you know that we'll be recording this session as well. We know that you might have questions as the session is ongoing. You can like just put up your hand if you have a question when Bola is taking us through Jira or Confluence. And you can also put your questions in the chat. Myself and our other team members would be monitoring the chat during the session. But before Bola starts, I'm going to be handing over to one of our co-founders at H.O.P.S to tell you a little bit about H.O.P.S and then we would hand it off to Bola. So please join me as I welcome Professor, we like to call him Professor Taiwo Abraham, because he is a professor actually. Taiwo, over to you.
Thank you, Editor. Thankfully, none of my professors would be on this call because that would easily get me into trouble. But yes, so delighted to be here again doing what we love doing. There's never a better time than when we are hosting people and helping other people succeed. My name is Taiwo Abraham, like Adeton just said, and Adeton was quite humble the way she introduced herself. She's the Chief Operating Officer for H.O.P.S. H.O.P.S is incorporated in Canada as a non-profit. So we are a serious organization. We've been at this for about 5 years now. We started out in 2018 officially. I'm going to give you a little bit more background or story to how we came to be an organization that we are today. Quickly, I posted the website link in the chat. So I'm going to have to be prudent with time. So I cannot sufficiently tell you everything we do with all the details that are available on the website. So I will suggest that you take some time out to explore the website and see what might be there for you that is even more than the Jira conference event that we have today. This is just one of the many things we do. So if you go to that hopsglobal.org, you can go to About Us and go to the initiatives. And then I'm going to share my screen as I walk through. Okay. So let me start with a story. So Bola and I have been probably this is all over the internet already because we always talk about that. We've been friends for about 23 years now. We met at okay, let me not age ourselves. Let me not age us, but yeah, we've been friends for about 23 years now, and it's been interesting that our lives kind of just took the same kind of pattern. That if you check his profile and my profile on LinkedIn, maybe in recent times we'll start to see some kind of divergences, but up until 2020, 2021, you can pick Bola's profile and pick my profile and say, okay, who do I talk to? So guys, you know what happens? Someone will reach out to Bola and say, hey, I need mentoring from you. I think you can guide me in my career. They copy exact same message and then they send to me as well. And then as Bola is reaching out to me that, oh, I got a mentoring request. Do you have time? Maybe I can refer them to you. And then he's giving me the name of the person. And I'm like, well, I got a request from the same person. So that's how closely matched our career trajectory has been. So in 2010, thereabout, I had completed my PMP, and Bola also said he wanted to go for that. And so that was the beginning of, okay, the project management is like our common space. He was heavily focused on in a career, corporate career in Nigeria. I was the consulting guy who was all over the place. So that gave us like a breadth of experience. And when we come together, we're able to do a lot more than if we were just career focused or entrepreneurship kind of inclined. Um, Fast forward in 2016, 17, we both decided that let's come to Canada. We got to Canada, and the environment was quite welcoming to us. That in a span of um, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we both got jobs that we were happy with. And we probably took it for granted at the time. It was months later that we realized that that's not the usual. And then we also started getting lots of requests online asking for, hey guys, can you like put me through? Um, I've just moved to Canada. These requests were coming at a rate that we couldn't take one-on-one any longer. So we needed to find a way to organize help so that we can help all these people that were reaching out to us. And that's how we came about the idea of, hey, can we like look into our network and find other people who can mentor alongside us? Were lucky enough to find quite a number of people who were interested. And so HOPS is the body that now houses this network of professionals. And because of this network, we've been able to reach further than just project management that support that we started out. So it's right now I can say that we are more than just a career mentoring platform. We are full-fledged a social enterprise, or call us incubation hub, on a mission to raise the next generation of business and professional leaders by providing the launching pad that they need to start or transition or grow to stabilize their careers and product ideas using a network of mentors and coaches across North America, Europe, Africa. I think we should add Asia at some point. We are on a mission to take the world um, to a better place for career professionals. So if you have just migrated to North America, whether the US or Canada, we are home for you. If you have just graduated and you're trying um, to focus or to find a place for yourself in the professional space, we're definitely a home for you. If you have been in one particular field of career or of practice, and you're looking to transition to some other career line that may be more interesting to you for several reasons, could be income opportunity or job opportunity, or just for interest or self-actualization, we definitely are a home for you. And so the details of all that we do, you would find under the initiative section. Um, is there something I'm missing out about the target audience, our target at HOPS? Bola can help out, or Adeton if I miss something, but generally our goal is to help people and hold people in the course of their career progression. More recently, we're also focusing on startups and looking at how we can help those who are grappling with all the intricacies of starting up a new business, or a new or exploiting an opportunity potentially to start a business. We will be providing more details on that as time goes. So that's who we are. That's our story. Like I said, we're incorporated in Canada, and we don't want to think of ourselves as just a Canadian organization. That's why you see that our name is H.O.P.S Global. So if you look at the audience we have today, it's quite representative of our reach. Nigeria, Europe, North America have been very much within. Um, so look at some of the initiatives that we have there. I think our biggest event of the year is the Accelerate, which is a free 6 weeks coaching that we do. So here we reach out to our mentors. We get a number of mentors to agree to mentor, um, and then we provide application opportunities for individuals who might be seeking mentoring. When we started, we it was from the very start. It has been a very competitive process because we always get more than we have mentors for. So when this opportunity opens up, if you happen to be interested, we advise that you take the application process a little more seriously to help the reviewers um, better able to assess your readiness or how much of a rolled sleeves that you have to also help yourself before we match you with a mentor. So Accelerate is definitely one that we've seen a lot of success of people coming out of that and getting a job that they that they want. I'll also say something that I might have skipped earlier on around our initial focus on immigrants. We found that there are several myths that people um, get when they move countries. A big one that I'm sure everyone would move to Canada in this room would have heard would be, oh, you need a local education or a local degree before you can get a good job in this country. Or maybe you cannot start at the same level that you were in your home country. We definitely did not have to go through that kind of um, uh, um, um, we didn't have to take anything lesser than what we were doing from back home, and so we've been able to help a lot of people. Sometimes it's just resumes that we need to review. Sometimes we need to just instill that confidence in people, help just unravel those misinformations to help them focus on where they need to be. And if you take all the resources you should have taken into getting a degree in Canada and you put that into actually pursuing an opportunity, I think people have been quite successful through Accelerate. I won't talk about the rest the way I spoke about Accelerate, but Accelerate is our flagship event. When it opens up, if you're not interested, reach out to someone who might be interested. It's always a life-changing one. And then we have Career Hack. Here, we're basically providing insights and expert advice that can help you to accelerate, to increase the pace of your growth in your career. We have Campus Drive, we have GoPro. GoPro, we call it 80/20 because we want some of your involvement. So this is another very competitive one that we do. Very competitive in the sense that we have limited resources and we usually get overwhelming response. So this is for people who are especially interested in the certifications that you see there. The number of certifications that we cater for is growing. We started out with just PMP and CBAC, but now you see CAPM, CCBA, Agile Scrum. By the generosity of some of our partners like Stacy and Lloyd, and maybe we're adding 6 dots now. I'm hoping that shortly we might be able to add some more certifications to represent the, the the broad range of resources that we have access to. So we call it 80/20 because we will take care of 80% of the resources that you need in terms of cost and whatever you need to get your certification in these areas, and then you take care of 20%. We want to see that you're first and foremost interested and you're ready. We usually have a timeline within which you have to get the certification. And so when we see all the material information you have in your application and we think that it's realistic for you to aim to get the certification within that period, you're a very likely candidate. So keep an eye out for GoPro announcement when it comes out. From time to time, we do fireside chat, ask me anything kind of event where we just talk about trending trending topics. I think we probably should do one on AI and maybe job search or AI or something related to any of the hot topics today. Startup Clinic, like I said, we're going to start doing a lot more for startuppers who might not have the kind of support that they need to get ahead. And then we do board drive where we just hang around with our board members. And there is the T120, again, another time-bound transformation journey where we say, give us 120 days and we want to see some kind of professional transformation, some career transformation, and that usually requires a lot more involvement. So the resources you need to participate in this is a lot more intense, but it's also not um, as as popular as the other ones that we have there, because you really have to sit down and say, yes, I need some kind of change, and be ready to go through the drill within those 120 days to get there. And this one, you're usually with a particular expert or a group of experts that are looking through everything about your profile, about the ideas that you're exploring, and all of that, to just make sure that you achieve the goals you set out to achieve at the beginning of the program. There are ad hoc stuff that we do from time to time. I don't know which of them I will categorize what we're doing today as, but every now and then we have like perks that we're putting out there, and but all of this will not be possible if we don't continue to have people show up. So I'll still give it back to you that the opportunity and the privilege we have to continue to add value stems from the appetite from the community like this. In wrapping up, I will say that I think something that we all agree to on the board of H.O.P.S in the leadership group is the concept of Ubuntu, that because you are, we are. And so you can flip that as well and see how for the world to spin, there must be this kind of exchange or interconnection where those that are raising need to lift up those that are looking up, and those that are being lifted today are the agents for tomorrow who will be lifting others. And that's exactly what we're doing here. If you have benefited from H.O.P.S, we invite you to join our mentoring group. We can't do anything without these mentors, and look at the mentor our mentors list. If you think you like to be one of those individuals, please reach out to us. We will definitely have a discussion with you to bring you on board and see where you fit in our work. I think that was a long one, but I hope you got a feel of what we're doing at H.O.P.S. And with that, I would return to my co-host, Adeton.
Thank you so much, Professor. You see why we call him Professor? Thanks, Taiwo, for that introduction. And thank you, everyone, again for joining. Just for the benefits of those that are just joining, there's a link in the chat where you can put in your email address so that we grant you access to Jira. At this point, I'd like to hand it over to Bola. I know we've been waiting for this part. So I'm going to hand it over to our co-founder, Bola, to take us through Jira and Confluence. Thank you.
All right, it's my time to just kidding. Okay, I played you. Welcome everyone to this masterclass. This is where we get our hands dirty. Everyone who filled the form that Adeton shared must have received an email in the email address that you filled, and that email will come from Atlasia, and it will tell you that you've been added or you've been onboarded to Stacy and Lloyd's Jira platform. Now, Stacy and Lloyd, because H.O.P.S is partnering with Stacy and Lloyd. So Stacy and Lloyd sort of providing the resources. If you follow the prompt from that email, you will be asked to activate your account. All you need to do is just set your password so that you can have access to the application. So I'm going to share my screen, and I implore you to follow along, get your hand on the keyboard, and do as I do, if that makes sense. So this is Jira. Jira is I use the word loosely, is a project management tool or application that a lot of organizations that use agile or hybrid approach use in planning their work, in tracking their work, and in reporting their work. It's made by a company called Atlassian, and that's why you got an email from Atlassian. So we're going to first start with the interface. I don't know what you're seeing once you land in, but whatever it is that you're seeing, it's probably going to ask you to choose a project to work on. Just click on any project. It's just something to allow you to get into the application. Just choose any project. Just click on any project, or you can skip that. So let's start from the interface. At the top of the application, you see menu. All of this, just as you have for typical websites. At the far left-hand side of the menu bar is some icon that looks like a Rubicon. Now, Atlassian owns Jira, they own Confluence, and a couple of other applications within their suite. And they've activated this single sign-on functionality that helps you to just have one account, and then you can use that one account to move from one application to the other within their suite. The same way that in your organization, once you log in to your system, you can access so many applications that you have. So that button or that menu is what allows you to move from one application to another. Your cursor there, you see it brings a description that says switch to. When you click on it, it shows you the other applications within the Atlassian suite that you can move to. For example, I'm on Jira software right now. They also have Jira Work Management. They have Confluence. I don't need to type the once I click on Confluence, it just takes me to Confluence. And this is Confluence. I'm going to go back. You don't worry. I'm just going to go back here. I click and I click Jira software, and it takes me back to Jira where we were before. So that's what that does. The second one is like the home. The home. Anywhere you are on the application, if you click on that home, it will bring you back to the dashboard. After home, you see your work. If you work in an organization, this is where you can see everything that you've been doing, everything that you've done, and everything that you're involved in. For you, if you click on it, you will not see anything, most especially if this is the first time that you've been onboarded to Lloyd's Jira platform. You won't see anything. For someone like Ty, my friend, for example, if you click on your work, you will see a number of things. For example, the things that have been assigned to me. And you see their statuses. Victor, do you want to go on mute? You can see assigned to me. For you, you won't see anything because you are new in the organization, because it's the first time that you've been added to Jira from Stacy and Lloyd. You can see these are the work that have been assigned to me. All of these are in progress, so that's why you see in progress here. If I scroll down a little, you see the ones that are being impediments, these two. You see the ones that are blocked. Those are the items that have been assigned to me. Adenike.
Can you hear me?
No, just kidding. I can hear you.
Oh, yeah. I don't have access to the, I didn't receive the email. And I think some of us, some other people too didn't get the email.
No, so you're not going to get, because you were part of AIP, all I did was just reactivate your account. So just go to.
I can't remember my password.
Okay, so I'm going to do one thing. I'm going to help you. I'm just going to tag you here so that you get the link and then you just go in.
Thank you, Coach.
Sure.
Coach B, while you're at that, there are a few people that just put in their email addresses. For the rest of us that have been saying you submitted and you didn't get, you might be in the same situation with Adenike. If you had access in the past through Stacy and Lloyd, then you might not get an email. And then I think we'll just try to like maybe I'm just checking some of those email addresses that we have. So there are a few people that I know we haven't added. We'll try to add them and then maybe we'll just put a cap on it for now.
Okay, let me just check again.
Yeah, you're still sharing your screen, Coach.
Okay, I'm gonna have to stop sharing for a minute.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So people like Usher, people like Sweater, people like Samuel Felix, people like Toby Okusaya, you're not going to get an email because you've been part of the sharing. You're not going to get an email because you've been part of the application before. So I see few people who have just added right now. So I'm going to go ahead and bring you in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. Just give me 1 minute. This is one of the reasons why kill the phone on time. Yeah, users. Okay, so I've invited like everybody. Now everybody is now in. Everybody should have an email. Please check the email may go to spam or junk. All right. So we are good. Is it good time to continue? Rachel?
Yes. So I think after this, we probably wouldn't add any more folks just so that we don't keep interrupting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Cool. So we're in the first menu, your work. When you click on your work, you see 3 things. The work that have been assigned to you. Everything that has been assigned to you in the organization, you will see that here. And their status. The next thing on your work is recent. The recent thing that you have worked on. You see them here, whether it's a bug, whether it's a task, whether it's a user story, you see them here. The recent thing that you viewed, you see them here. For you, you're not going to see anything. Most especially if this is your first interaction. And then you see bugs, the bugs that you've recently viewed. So that's your work. It's going to be empty for you. The next is projects. When you click on projects, you will see recent. Recent, what will show under recent are the projects that you have just recently worked on or you've just recently viewed. Again, for a lot of you, it will be empty. But after recent, you see view all projects. When you click on view all project, It shows you a list of all the projects that we've worked on, that we're working on in the organization. The name of the project, the key for the project, the type of project, and the lead for the project. The lead is the person that created the project. Now we see a long list here, and if you scroll down, you will see it has some pagination. This is displaying 25 at once, 25 projects at once, and there are about 36 pages. If I want to go to the next, I just click on the number and it shows me. But let's assume that I'm looking for a project. I don't have to go through all the pages to be able to find my project. All I need to do is remember a word or the name of the project, and I can run a search here. You see at the top here, search. Let's say, for example, I want to search something called H.O.P.S. I would do H.O.P, and you see, it brings it here. H.O.P.S site development. This was a project that we worked on in the organization. It's a company managed project. Yesterday was the lead for that project. Let's say we want to look for a project called H.O.P.S. All you need to do is just type a word from that project. And you see there's Rex Online Auto Shop that was created by Mama. There's Shopaholic, created by Adeton. There's Shoppers Project, created by this person. Shoppers World. There's Breakfast Shop. There's the Pet Shop. Any project that has shop will bring it to you once you search. If you say Academy, for example, you see Academy Portal, Innovation Academy Corporation, Learning Hub Academy, Soccer Academy. So that's projects. The next icon, the next menu is filter. We're going to come back to filter. After filter, you see dashboards. Dashboard. You know, a dashboard gives you a bird's eye view of some information that you want to see. Different teams will have different dashboards, and on their dashboard, they will put what they like to see. When you click on dashboard, you see a list of all the dashboards that we have in the organization. Some of the dashboards have been created by teams. The default dashboard is the one that the organization has, the default dashboard. If you click on default dashboard, this is what you're going to see. There is the welcome to Stacy and Lloyd. There is the project. There's the feed. This feed here shows you what is happening in the organization real time. You can see today, feed. You can see today, Bola H.O.P.S commented on this user story, and the comment was, I added Adenike. On the 17th of January, Abdul Rashid Bakari updated the rank of this user story. The same thing. So a minute by minute feed of what everybody is doing on the application. You see that right here. And you refresh it every 30 seconds. See, if you choose another dashboard, let's say, for example, we want to choose Techstars. See these guys, they had something totally different on their dashboard. So you can customize what you want to see on your dashboard. Adeton.
I know you wanted to take questions as we go. So yeah, there's a question in the chat. It says company managed and team managed projects, which is better or advised?
Good question. Because we haven't got there, it's going to be a little strange when I explain to people, but just to answer your question, there are so many limitations to team managed projects. In terms of configuration, in terms of reporting, and I'm gonna demonstrate that. Company managed gives you the entire configuration, the advanced configuration that you can have. So I always recommend, if you're learning something, learn everything that that application has, and if you don't have to use them, it's fine. So I'll always say use company managed projects. So you see these guys have something totally different. Then let's get to the next thing, which is team. An organization will have different divisions or different subsidiaries. Each subsidiary or division will have multiple initiatives. Projects are built around teams. So this is where you find two things. One, the people that we have in the organization and the teams that it belong to. When you click on teams, you will see, for you, you're not going to see anything because you're net new. These are my collaborators. These are the people that I have worked with, like Margaret. Margaret was in my last H.O.P.S class. Samuel Felix is my brother. Harriet is my friend. Yetunde, we work extensively, Kende. Next, you will see my team, the team that I belong to. And then you see invite people to Jira, create a team, and then search people and team. So I'm going to start first with search people and team. I'm just going to pick someone's name here. Victor. You see, these are the people that I work with. You work with. For you, you're not going to see anything. The teams that I belong to, your teams, I belong to Accelerate. I belong to Achievers. I belong to Adorables, HR Avengers, all of the teams that I belong to. Well, let's start with search. I want to search for Victor James. Victor. You see, these are all the people that have VICTO in their name. Victor James. Okay, so it looks like Victor James is not here. Let me look for Adenike. I know I'm going to see Adenike. You see, this is Adenike. When you click on Adenike, you see Adenike's role, Adenike's department, Adenike's organization, Adenike's location. The team that Adenike belongs to, Food Strong. Not surprised, because she's a very good caterer. From Tastic, this step space, you see that. She's not doing anything right now. So that's what you see. You can search for teams. Again, you click search people and teams, and then let's just search for, we saw Food Strong. I'm just going to look for it again, food, and it brings Food Strong here. And you click on it, you will see the people that are in that team. So this team has just two members, Adenike and Jira. If you search another team, just to let you see, let's say, for example, I want to search for Agile. Sorry, I want to search for, say, Agile, something. Say Agile Titans. I click on Agile Titans, and you see this is the team. These are the members of the team. 9 members, you see them. These are the things that the people in the team have created, the team activity, and all of that. So we're going to skip teams. This plan, I'll come back because it's not part of what we have. Then if you go to the right-hand side of the menu, you'll see this bell icon. It does the same thing everywhere you see it, notification. If you have any question, if you want to do some settings, and then the place that we're going to start from is your profile. The last icon on the menu is your profile. When you put your cursor on it, you see it shows your profile and settings. When we looked at Adenike's profile, we saw she had updated a picture, she had updated job title, and all of those things. You will also do that. So you click on that picture, and then you see Manage Accounts. You click on Manage Accounts. click on manage accounts, and then you see your account. For you, it's probably going to be just your name, and then all of these things will be empty. The first thing that you can do is to change your header image. You know, your cover, just put your cursor on it, and it show you this picture image that says upload your header image. If you click on it, it will show you, for you, it's probably going to show you one because you don't have any picture there. I have a picture there, and that's giving me upload an image or remove an image. So I'm just going to click upload an image. And it's going to ask me for the location of the image that I want to upload. Most of the time, it's going to be on my local system. So I'll look for a picture, and then I will upload that. So I'm just going to look for any picture, and then I will put that in. Maybe this one, hopefully is, all right, great. So I've uploaded another picture right here. You can also change your profile picture. So this is my profile picture. You just click on that icon, and then it will show you that camera icon. When you click on it, you can either remove, because I have something there, change to another picture, just use avatar. So that's that. You can determine who should see your profile. Here, I want anyone to see it. And if you don't want anyone to see, you can say visible to only you. But you know why? Let everyone see it. Then we have full name. Let's say I want to change my name to Bola Ade. I just come here and I can change it. So I've changed my name to Bola Ade. For you, that's where you can put your name. Your public name is what everybody sees. Your job title, you need to say, I love. Your department, I want to say Agile Center of Excellence. The organization is the organization, but let's say I want to change this to H.O.P.S. And then I'm based in Toronto, and then automatically the time zone will be updated based on your location. And then I have my email address. So I have my profile now that has been updated. So my profile is clean. Hopefully everybody has been able to get their profile. The first thing after profile that we want to do is to set up our team. To set up a team before you start working on a project. Or you have a project, but you have to build a team. The fifth principle of Agile: build projects around motivated individuals. It means don't have a project without people. Let's pack motivated first. Build project around motivated individuals. So you've been employed in your organization. You have to be part of a team to be able to work on your project. Now let's put a team together. To do that, go to Teams. At the top right hand here, Teams. You click on it. This drop down will come for you. The second to the left item on that drop down is create a team. So I click on create a team. When I click on create a team, a dialog box is going to open for you. And the dialog box will ask you for the name of your team. You and your team, what do you want to call yourselves? Let's say we want to call ourselves H.O.P.S. Squad. I just put it there. Nobody should steal my name. This is like two things cannot have the same name. So don't use H.O.P.S. Squad. Use any other name. Ours is H.O.P.S. Squad. A team must have people. The next is invite people to your team. Now, he already has me because it feels that, oh, since you're creating this team, maybe it's your team, so you should be part of the team. But if I'm creating the team for another team, then I can just take myself out. Now I want to add people to the team. I'm just going to randomly look at the names that we have here. I'm going to add Taiwo. So just type the person's name and it will show here. You see Tai, and these are the people that have Tai in the name. Just Taiwo. You can add up to 50 people at once. Fumi Taiwo as well, because it's a Taiwo squad. Adetron, Samuel, Shweta, Niha, Ortega. So I have these people that will be part of my H.O.P.S squad. Now, one thing before I create this team, do I want to allow anybody to look at this team and join without our approval? Do I want to make it an open team that anybody can just join? I don't want to do that. If you're not part of our team, you shouldn't be with us. So I'm going to leave this unchecked. But if I want it to be open, you can just join this team, then I'll check this. Anyone can join this team without approval. So I'm going to leave it unchecked. And then I click create a team. You can see right here, you've created H.O.P.S squad. Now, when you go back to Teams and you search H.O.P.S squad, you're going to see that everybody that I put as part of the team will get an email notification saying Bola has created a team called H.O.P.S squad, and he has invited you to be part of that team. Let's see. I click on Teams. I do search people and team. And then I search for H.O.P.S. You see, in fact, we had one earlier, Scrum Squad, but this is the new one that we have, H.O.P.S squad. When you click on it, it shows you, oh, this is the team. Now look at it. Tolu is trying to join. I have to approve it. Member request, I have to approve it. If I check that, allow anyone to join without approval, then Tolu will have automatically just become a member of this. But Tolu, do I want Tolu to join? Okay, accept. So Tolu will now be a member of the team. These are the people in the team. We set up the team, and then Adenike joined 3 months after we set up the team. I can add Adenike to the team. Joining an in-flight team, I just click on add people here. And then I say Adenike. Then I say, automatically Adenike becomes part of the team. This thing is kind of like, foreign right now. It's H.O.P.S squared. I want to put some more jazz into this. So I want to put like other image. I click and I upload. Because I don't have any image here. When I click on add other image, it only gives me upload. My profile, when I click on that icon, it gave me two, remove picture or add, because I have something there. I'm going to click on add an image here. And then I'm going to go and look for H.O.P.S. H.O.P.S. And I will just put the logo right here. So that's the logo. There's some, way that you can make it be the exact picture. I can talk about what this team is about. We are a social enterprise building the next generation of leaders. When I say, so I have a team now. I've been able to add people, I can remove people. Let's assume that Sweater is leaving our organization or is leaving our team. And we want to reflect that, want to represent that here. All I need to do is just look for Sweater, click the 3 dots in front of Sweater's name, and then see remove from team. And then I remove Sweater from the team. And we're now back to 6-man team. Sweater has been removed. So everybody should be able to create a team. You should be able to add people to your team. You should be able to remove people from your team. The next thing that we want to do is to start creating the work that this team will do. I want to start by creating projects. But before I move from this feature, any question on updating your profile, on creating a team, adding more people to your team, removing people from your team? Okay. No question.
Yes, hello.
Yeah.
But yes, a quick one. The why you there was a guy that wanted to that sent a request that wanted to join the team. Was was the person out of the list you added to the team, or the person came from
Yeah.
nowhere?
If you are already part of the team, there's no need for you requesting to join anymore. So Tolu
Yes.
was one of the people that I added to the team, and that's why he requested to join.
Okay.
If you go to this,
Thank you.
you will see join, and you click on it. It is when you click on join that it will now tell you, it will now tell the admin that, hey, someone wants to join your team. Do you want to pull them in? Sorry.
It's okay. Thank you, Wala. Yeah, please, I'm sorry to draw you back a bit. I think I missed the navigation of creating the profile. I think my system was freezing at that point in time. So I actually missed out on what you clicked on before you got to that space of, creating the portal, the profile rather. So if you don't mind just taking you a step backwards, I would appreciate. Thank you so much.
Okay. I guess yours is an exception of forward ever, backward never. Anyways, so you see the right-hand side of the top menu is your profile right here.
Okay. I can see it now. Okay.
So let's get into some work. We want to create a project. The way to do that is you go to projects, because this is where we have projects. You go to project, and when you click on projects, you will see view all projects, and then you see create projects. You click on create projects. When you click on create projects, it's going to give you, first thing, project templates. Because there are different kinds of projects that you can have. At the left-hand pane, you will see software project, software development, service management, product management, marketing, and so on and so forth. I'm going to stick to software development. And this software development project, what framework do you want to use to develop this project? That's the next thing. And you can see the frameworks that we have here. Do you want to use Kanban? Do you want to use Scrum? Or do you want just top-level planning? Or is it discovery? Or is it just tracking issues and bugs and tasks? Let's start first with Scrum. I'll choose Scrum. When I choose Scrum, or when you choose Scrum, the application is going to give you a summary insight into what you are getting into by choosing Scrum. He says, hey, this Scrum that you're choosing, you will have this type of issues: epic, story, bug, task, subtask. In this type of approach, you will have your typical workflow: start, doing, done. What I mean is to do, in progress, done. You will have every work that you want to do in your backlog. And you can put the work that you're doing in your sprint. It's just giving you, and you can track your some of your productivity, like your velocity and all of that. I say, okay, this is fine. And I'll click use templates. You know, the same way when you, on different applications, when you click delete, you say, you have asked to delete this. You will not be able to see it again. You will not be available X, Y, Z. So that's exactly what that just is for us. So we have two types of, Jira projects. We have the team managed project. I think it was at the bio that asked this. Our company managed projects. You can choose anyone, but depending on how much flexibility, how much feature you want to access. If you choose team managed, for example, see, anyone on your team can set this up. It doesn't impact any other. This is set up for issue type. Very simple configuration. Then if you look at the features, essential features, you will only show your project issues on your board. Essential reporting. But if you look at company managed, expert configuration, you have detailed permission, you have advanced feature, comprehensive reporting. If you choose team managed, there's so many features that you will not see. So I'm going to choose company managed. So I select company managed projects. And then it says, okay, you've put all of the settings together. Now, what do you want to call this project? I'm going to call this H.O.P.S. Masterclass. That's that's the name of the project, H.O.P.S. Masterclass. Below it, you will see key. A key is like a unique identifier, something that distinguishes this project from every other project. When you open an account in a bank, you get an account number. That account number is what shows that this is your account and is what distinguishes or differentiates it from any and every other account. So this is, now what this does is it typically just gives you like some alphabets from your stuff. But I can change this. I don't want it to be just HOP. I want it to be masterclass. I can change it to masterclass. Now, everything that I create on this project will have this masterclass attached to it. Don't check these share settings with an existing project because I want this project to have its own setting. And then I click next. And then it says, oh, you know what? You can also create a conference page with this, or you can connect a conference page with this. I'm going to skip that for now, and I'm just going to say continue. Now I have my project. Now I've created my project. See, H.O.P.S. Masterclass. If you go to project and search, you will see it here. See, H.O.P.S. Masterclass. Christian, I said, don't create what I created. You see, H.O.P.S. Masterclass created by Bola Ade. H.O.P. masterclass created by Christian. And this is the one that I just created. So let's get back. At the left-hand side of your page, you will see two things. The first one is planning. Planning. This is where you get to plan your work and track your work and all of that. The second one is development. We're not going to touch development because we're not developers. In planning, you see your board. It's on your board that you put the work. You see timeline. Everything that you want to do on the project, you put in backlog. Everything that you're thinking of doing, you put in backlog. And in Scrum, you work in iterations, you work in sprints. Every 1 week, every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, every 4 weeks, something like that. The work that you are currently doing, you see in active sprints. Report shows you things about the progress, the performance, the productivity of your team and your project. Then we have like the product goal. So everybody should have created a project right now. But your project is kind of empty because there's really nothing that you have done. When you want to start identifying the work that you need to do, you have to go to backlog. So I click on backlog. In your backlog, you see no issues because I've not created anything that I want to do. It shows no issues. But if you understand work hierarchy in Scrum, it goes this way, and I'm just going to do this for 1 minute so that we focus on the two. We have epics. 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 Epics are like really big functions, really big abilities from the work that we want to do. Let's assume, John, do you want to go on mute? John is saying, let's assume that this project is masterclass. As part of the project, we will have registration. Registration is a big part of the masterclass. As part of this project, we will have publicity. As part of this project, we will have maybe sessions. Those are big piece of functionality. Each piece of functionality can then be broken down into small value that we can deliver to the end users. For example, in registration, I'm using this so that you can understand. In registration, I can say, I want to view the registration link. I want to collect registration information. I want to get notified when people register. I want to approve registration. All of these things are piece of functionality, the smallest piece of functionality that we need to deliver from registration. And these things that I've identified here are called user stories. For example, you say, hey, what's the link? Because you want to register. So we have to create a link for you to be able to register. Editor says, I don't want people to just come in here and all. So when people register, I want to approve their registration. So we have to create that. And for you to approve registration, you don't want to have to be going to, the registration page to see who has registered and who has not. So Adetone says, I want to just be notified when people register so that I can just go straight there. And so we're going to get a notification. All of these are stories that the users will tell us. And that's why it's called user story. The things that the different users want to do as part of registration. So in our backlog, we will have epics, and then we will have user stories. So I'm going to clean this up now. Clear all drawings and make it back here. So we have the backlog here, but first we want to create epics. At the top of the backlog right here, you see version, you see epics. I'll click on epic. It says your project has no epic. Yeah, that's because I've not created any. And I'll just activate this. And then I see my epic right here. And then to create an epic, you see, very intuitive, create epic. So I click on epic. And then when you click on create epic, it brings this for you. The epic dialog box. It says, this epic that you want to create, is it part of this project? Because I'm on this project when I click create epic. If it's not on this project that I want to create the epic, I can change the project. I'll just go and choose the project. But it's on this project, so I'll leave it at this. Everything that you create in Jira is called an issue. And so the issue type I want to create is epic, right? Yes, but if it's not epic, I can change it here to whether it's a user story or whether it's a bug or whether it's a task, but it's epic, so I'm going to leave it there. And then I will put the summary here. So this is registration. Registration. And every other thing is not important, so I can leave it. I just need this registration and make sure that it's an epic being created on H.O.P.S masterclass. Now, at the bottom, you see by the left, you see create another issue. Now, this is what happens. If I want to create 5 issues, I can either create one, go here, click create epic again for this dialog box to open, and then I go through it again, I create, and I go again, create epic, this dialog box opens, or I say, I want to create another issue. So once you are done creating registration, please retain this dialog box so that I can create the next one. So I check here, create another issue, and I click create. You see, right here, say one issue created, and then this for me.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
So I'm going to create another one, say publicity. Now I'm going to do the second thing. I'm going to uncheck this. Uncheck this. What I've done is I've told the guy, hey, I don't want to create another issue. So once you create this, just place the dialog box. You see what's going to happen. Once I create this, once I click create, it's going to create publicity, and then it's going to close this box. See, create, and then that's it. And then I would have to come again and click create issue for the 3rd time before this dialog box opens. So I'll call this session. Let's just stick to this 3. So I've created 3 epics: registration, publicity, session. These are big stuff. The way to deliver this is to look for the smallest possible things that people want to do as part of registration. Those are user stories. And to create those user stories, I will now come to this backlog. You see, zero issue, your backlog is empty. I want to start creating. I see here, create issue, this plus button, I click it. Once I click it, it opens a field for me to type. You can see there's a cursor blinking, and it's saying what needs to be done. What do you want to do? Because it's in the backlog that we keep everything that we're thinking of doing. So I'm going to just say as the COO, I want to receive notification when register. So I do that. I click enter. That user story is created. You now see backlog, one issue. And then I just create the others as a potential student. I want to register for the master class so I can attend. Enter. As an admin, I want to collect mandatory information so I can engage the participants. Like imagine you register and your email address is not there. As Adetone, I want to disapprove registration so I can this link. So these are user stories. Nivita, I see your hand up, I'll take it.
Thank you. Just wanted to confirm these stories which we are adding. Are we adding it in the registration publicity or how does it work here in Jira?
Very good question. That's called mapping user stories to Epic. And I'm going to look at that the next time.
Okay.
So I'm going to do it. So let's look at other things. Say publicity, for example, as a marketing specialist, I want to advertise the program on LI. So LinkedIn can see it. Not fools, of course, no. No, that wasn't what I wanted to edit. Okay, well, I'm going to leave it. I'm going to cover that in edit. And then I create another one as a marketing specialist. I want to, say for example, create visually appealing flyers so people can be attracted to the program, something like that. And then in the session, say as a trainer, I want to onboard people to Jira so they can participate. As a trainer, I want to approve onboarding so people something like that. So I've written these 8 user stories. Just as Nivita had asked, some of these are part of registration, some are part of publicity, some are part of session. How do I create that relationship? There are two ways, maybe three. The first one is to actually start from that epic. Let's say I want to start creating things for under registration. I click on registration. When I click on registration, then I start creating. By doing that, everything that I create will be mapped to registration because I already clicked registration. So the app sees it as, hey, you're on registration. Everything under that you are creating will be assumed to be for registration. See, I click on this and I say as a C, as a proof, and I want to track location of registrar. So I can put manage and zones. I'm going to enter. The moment I enter, see, it puts registration right in front of it. To say this guy here belongs to registration. So that's one way. I'm going to just unclick. Another way is to create everything and now start mapping them. How do you do that? I know that this one, I want to receive notification when people register, is under registration. So I drag it and I go and drop it in registration right here. This one, I want to register, I drag it and I drop it in registration. This marketing specialist is under publicity. I drag it and I drop it in publicity. This one, onboarding, is part of session. I drag it and I drop it in session. So those are the ways that you can map the two ways. There's a third way, but I'll show you. But look at this. One thing here, registration, publicity, they kind of have the same color. I want to distinguish between them. So I click on anyone. This is the key. It shows you the number of issues under this. You can see this one is 1. If I went to registration, it will show me 3. I click on registration and I see 3 issues. None has been completed. Then I click on view issues because I want to make some edits. I click on view issues. When I click on view issues, it will open a view at the right-hand side, a pane that helps me to view it. So you see right here is the registration. I can edit this to say, oh no, it's not registration, it's expression of interest. Expression of interest. And I just save it. So you see it's changed from registration to expression of interest. This color here, I want to change it as well. I just click on it and I make it green. You see, it's now green. By the time I close this and I click on this, you see, it's not expression of interest, it's now green. This session is too dull. I just go to session. I click on session. I click view details. And I change it from session to hands on. And I save. And I change the color as well to something like this. And I close it. So now everything that it's on, you see, it's now hands-on, is now this color. So 3 things we've been able to do. We've been able to create our projects. we've been able to create epics and user stories. And we've been able to map epics to user stories. There's another way that you can also map the epics to user story that I'm going to share with you. I'll leave it up.
I had one other question which I asked earlier was around the Jira product we are using. Are we using software? I can see under HOPS masterclass we have written it's already mentioned software project, but I want to understand how do we choose which is better and why? Jira work management, Jira server, there were a couple of options. If you could please guide on that now or later.
Yeah. So because software development template has all of the typical features that you will find in this project, if your work is just, if all you want to do is not really to have, you know, backlog and sprints and all, if it's just task management, work management, then you can choose. So it depends on what your work is or the kind of project that you're doing and what you actually want to see on that project. If we have time, I'm going to go and create another project and I'm going to choose maybe work management or marketing, something like that.
Okay, thank you.
Shweta?
Yes, Paula. The backlog, can one backlog be part of two epic?
Say that again. Sorry, I didn't get that.
Can one backlog, for example, one statement of the backlog issue can be part of two epic, that is expression of interest and publicity?
Oh, yeah. All of the things that you see here are in this project. So I have, except if I'm not getting the question, I have expression of interest that is in HOPS Masterclass. I have publicity in HOPS Masterclass. Are you saying, can you have one epic in two projects? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
No. So you can only have one epic in a project. Remember, it is from the project that we identify what we want to do, the big part. If we have accelerate, and in accelerate, we have registration. That registration is going to be for accelerate. It's not going to be for HOPS Masterclass. The ID, identification number for expression of interest, because we created it in Masterclass, H.O.P.S. Masterclass, will be Masterclass. If you create expression of interest in Accelerate, the ID is going to be that project's key plus a serial number. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Cool stuff. So we've created epics, we've created user stories. We've kind of mapped the epics to user stories. For those who understand Agile or Scrum, there's an event called backlog refinement. It's this event that we make the user stories more detailed, that we make the user story more refined. That's why it's called refinement. It is in that stuff that we add more details, more information, edits, updates, X, Y, Z. Now, how do we do that? Let's say we have this as the CEO, I want to receive notification, and there's some information that we need to put here. When you click on that user story, it will open a pane to the right to you. And at the top of the pane, you will see like a mapping. It says this user story belongs to this epic. When you put your cursor on that epic, it will show you what that epic actually is. Masterclass 1, that's actually expression of interest. And this user story belongs to that epic. And then you see as the COO, I want to receive notification when people register so I can approve them. Let's say we want to edit this one to as Adetun, for example. Actually, let me stick to user persona. Let's say as an admin, I just click on it. Once I click on that user story, it makes it editable for me. And I can say, as the admin, I want to receive notification when people register for the program so that I can approve them. So I've made edits and I just save it. Close this. So we now has, as an admin, we now has for the program. Underneath that, you will see few icons. The first icon is attachment. Let's assume that our UI guys have created the email templates for the notification. And we want to include that here so that the developers can see it. We just click on add attachment. And this add attachment, you can add PDF, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, images, all kind of documents. So I click on add attachment. And then that attachment must be in my local system. So I look for this image and I insert it. So I've just added, you see, it's generating it. So I've added this right now. So this is an image that I've added. That's that. The next thing is subtasks. If you think about it, for the admin to be able to start receiving notification, the developers will have to perform some tasks. Now, subtasks is where we identify individual. John, do you want to go on mute? That's where you want to identify the individual task that we need to complete to be able to deliver this piece of functionality. This subtask will become children for this user story. For example, click on create subtask, and it says, well, create email templates. So that's one thing that we want to do. Draft content. That's another thing that we want to do. Design mail notification. That's another thing that we want to do. Configure recipient email. That's the other thing that we want to do. Let's say we say test configuration. All of these are subtasks that we have to complete to be able to deliver this user story. So that's subtask. The next thing that you see is a link. This user story can have a relationship with other user stories. Maybe this one depends on another user story, or this one is similar to another user story. We will use this link to represent that. Or we can add a web page. We can link a web page to this. Let's say, for example, we did our benchmarking analysis, and there's a website that has this same functionality, and we want the developers to be able to see this functionality the way it's been done with that competitor. We can use this to create that link. So you click on link, you choose where you want to link, whether it's an issue that is in this user story, whether it's a Confluence page, or whether it's a web link. So let's start with web link. I click on web link, and then it says Sorry, where is it? I click on web link, add web link. Right. So this is it. It says, what's the URL? Let's say HTTPS global.org. And then what do I want these people, them to know about this? I say, well, the sample notification from the computer, something like that. And I click link. Now, this is what happens. When they click on this sample link, it takes them to that website so they can see. So I have explained this. This is where you can add like design. The next is the status of this user story. It's still in to do because we haven't started doing it. So it's here. Then you have description. We want to describe, want to put more details in this user story. So we can put that in description. We also want to add things like acceptance criteria in this user story. We can put that in description. So when you click on that description, it opens a text box, a text field to you. Let's say you want to put acceptance criteria. Acceptance criteria, because this acceptance criteria is like a heading. I want to make it bold. I click on, I select it. You see, on top here, you see the typical word formatting. Bold is big. Underline is this. Sorry, italicized is this. These three dots is more. I want to underline it. I want to change the color. So I want to put a list of things that this user story must have for me to accept it. That's what acceptance criteria is. I can say email comes directly to my inbox. Email includes registrant's details. Email has a link to approve or decline. Email is received within 15 seconds. So these are the conditions, the acceptance criteria. Now this is a list. I want to really make it a list. I can either make it a bullet list or a numbered list. I select them. Next to the color, font color, or text color is list. When I click on it, I have two options, either to make it bullet list or numbered list. Bullet list just gives you exactly what it is. Numbered list, make it numbered, like here. And what I need to do is, I just click on save. So you now save. And then I scroll down and it goes into details. This is where we can assign people to this work. Again, the team self-assign work to themselves. But let's assume that I want to assign this work to Nivita. It's currently unassigned. What that means is there's nobody it's assigned to. I click on this and I search for Nivita. Okay, is it Nivita?
Yeah, this might be me. Maybe.
Oh, okay, right. So Nivita. Now, automatically, Nivita is going to get an email saying Bola has, assigned what to her. You see reporter. Reporter is the person that created the story. And then you go, this is the priority. Priority, either high, medium, low. But we usually don't use this like that because it's the way, is the position of the user story and the backlog that determines its priority. Oops, sorry. So I'm just going to choose highest. This is another way to map the user story to Epic. If it's not this one, I can just click on it and then choose another one. Say this is going to be publicity. Now it's changed to publicity. There are still more fields that are hiding. The story point, there's and all of those. So I click on this and it gives me this. Michael.
Yes, when you assign the task to Nivi, what is she supposed to do as regards the user story when you assigned it to her?
Yeah. Remember I said like the team self-assign work to themselves. And they don't assign work to themselves in the backlog. They assign it once you get into the sprint. But to answer your question, it means that they're going to have to work on it. So they start working on it. That's what that means. We also have a field for story points. Again, I'm not going to go into what story point is or how to do story points, but let's assume that the team has said, this is a 2-story point. We just click on this and put 2. So you see it shows here. It shows that the data has been assigned. Sprint, because it's not in any sprint right now. So that's how you refine and update and add more details to user stories. If you can do it for one, you can do it for multiple. Wait for the second one, click on it, attach something here, create subtask, put in a link, come here, add description, fine-tune your description, assign people to the story, assign story point, or put story points, change the priority, change the epi, and all. So I'm going to just go ahead because the next thing that I want to teach requires me to have estimated.
Hello, Bala.
Yes.
Sorry, a quick one. I can see you assigned 2 to that first story. So are we to assign directly from here, or we need to take it to the so-called Fibonacci sequence?
I wasn't going to get into this, but there's a way that the team does their estimation, right? I don't want to get into this because it's not really, it's going to just take us away.
All right.
When the team does their estimation, however it is that they're estimating, whether they're using Fibonacci, which is most likely what they're going to be using, once they agree on the story point, that's where we put that. 0, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, and all of those things are sort of like the sequence, and that's the connection. I'm going to take Funke first, and I'll take Nivita.
Okay, thank you. The subtasks, can we assign it?
Yes, and we're going to get there in a minute.
Okay.
We're going to get there in a minute. So I'm just going in to put story points to this story point, because the next thing that I want to do, which is sprint planning, requires that we have story points. All right. So what you see is as I'm assigning story points to the stories, it's accumulating. But before I forget, Nivita.
I just wanted to ask if you could please help us with link issue thing. How can I link one issue with other, and what are the options available? If you could please guide on that.
Yes.
Thank you.
So I want to get something done. All right. So linking issues, let's look for something that actually makes sense. Before you get notification, people have to register, right? Because it is in the form that you now put the email that the content will be forwarded to. So what that means is we should do register first before we do notification. So in plain English, it means notification depends on register. So I click my notification. Register is Masterclass 5. I go to this link. Sorry. I go to this link. The other time I chose web link. This one I'm going to choose link issues. When I click on link issue, it says link issue. What is the link? What is the link? I have a number here. It's blocked by, blocks, it's cloned by, clones, depends on. So I'll choose depends on. And then I'll search for the issue that this one depends on, which is Masterclass 5. Or I can just look for a word here. Say potential students. Potential students. And I'll see, and I'll say link. So anybody that opens this story will see that link. And they'll see what that link is. Depends on. And they can see the status of that. Does that answer your question? All right,
Yeah,
great.
thanks.
So the team has done Adiola.
Hi, Paula. So is it possible to link more than one issue?
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah. You can read one-to-one, one-to-many. Just do the same thing. All right. So when organizations choose like Agile, more specifically Scrum, I mentioned earlier, they work in iterations. They work in sprints. They choose a cycle. And at the beginning of that cycle, they decide on what they want to work on for that cycle. And they continue working on just those things. And then at the end, whatever it is that they've done, they can share it with their stakeholders. And then they start the next cycle. That cycle is called a sprint. For you to start working in that cycle, you have to agree. You have to align on what you want to do in that cycle. It's the beginning of the week. What is our goal for this week? What do you want to achieve this week? We call that sprint planning. I'm going to delete this because I want to create it first. So at the top right-hand side of your backlog, you will see create sprints. Create sprints right here. When you click on it, it opens a bucket for you. The bucket is called Masterclass Sprint 1. And it doesn't have anything. At the top right-hand side, you see three colors. The product owner, whoever, product manager, whatever role the organization gives that person, would have arranged the backlog in such a way that what they want the team to work on in this next cycle are at the top. And all of the details will have been there. Now, when it's time for the sprint planning, they're going to be picking from the top of the backlog into that bucket that will house the work that they want to do for that period. There are two ways. There are two ways to move those work from the backlog into that bucket. We're planning what the sprint is going to look like. You can either do the traditional drag and drop. You drag, and then you drop in the buckets. Drag it, and you drop it in the buckets. which is what I just did. Or you right-click on it, on the story from the backlog, and then you see move to. Now, when you see move to, and you choose it, it gives you option. You can either move that story to that bucket, that sprint, or you can move it to the top of the backlog, at the bottom of the backlog, or you can move it up or down. What we want to do is move it to sprint 1 that we are planning. So I just choose sprint 1, and it goes there. The other one, I just click, move to. I click, move to. As I am moving to, watch here. This estimate is changing. What this estimate is counting is the story times. See, I have 3 user stories here, and we have 2, 5, 3, totaling 10. I'm going to move another one, which is 5, to the sprint, and you should see that estimate change to 15 right here. Let's assume that the team is only able to do 15 based on historicals. Let's assume the team has said, well, 15 is what we can do. So we've had an alignment, we've had an agreement. Now it's time to start the work. At the top right hand here of that sprint bucket, you see start sprint. You click on start sprint, it will bring you some information request. The first one, it tells you have 4 issues in this sprint, like for the stories. What is the name of, the sprint? Yes, masterclass sprint 1. What is the duration of the sprint? Typically, a sprint is usually, well, it's 1 month or less. 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. This is where you can choose the duration of the sprint. Again, the team will have agreed on what the cadence is. So when you click on this, you see, is it 1 week, is it 2 weeks, is it 3 weeks, is it 4 weeks? If you choose any of these 3 defined duration, let's say 1 week, you can only change the start date. You can't change the end date because you say 1 week. So anytime that you start, it's just going to calculate 1 day. I'm just going to tell you what the end date is. Say, for example, you're saying this is starting 3rd of February, and automatically it's going to end 10th of February. If I change this, for example, to say start on the 5th, and then you change it to, okay, if it's 1 week, I want to start on the 5th, then this guy is going to end on the 12th. But I'm going to say start today. And then our target, our goal for the sprint, we can do that here. And then we confirm everybody is fine, and then we start our sprint. Before now, when I clicked on active sprint, there was nothing here because there was no sprint active. Now we have active sprint. And we see the work that we put in. Masterclass, this one, this one, this one. And you see the status. To do, in progress, done. Let's say, for example, let's say Funke is assigned to this work. Funke. Once Funke starts working on this, she's just going to move it from to do, because it's no more in to do, and move it to in progress, because it's now in progress. Just drag and drop. Or you can just click on the story and then change the status from here. Click to in progress. And then move to in progress. Let's assume that Funke has done something here and she wants Adetone or Sweater to see. She can use the comment function of the user story. You see, add the comments. She just comes here, she tags Sweater, and then she goes, please check the image. And then she can add that image. And add that image right here. I'm going to just put an image and right. Just going to put this image. And then she saves it. Now, what's going to happen is Swata is going to get an email notifying her that, well, this time it's going to be me, that Bola has put in a comment for her. Now, Sweta, if you can, please just go in and add some other comment to this user story. I just want people to see it. Once Funke is done, you just move it to done. Now moving it to done crosses the ID. That means done. So that's how you track the progress. That's how you manage the progress of the project. I'm going to go another 22 minutes. I know we wanted to actually make it 90 minutes. We're on the 128 minutes. Is everybody good for additional 20 minutes? All right.
Yes, we are fine.
Yes, please, we're fine.
Right, cool. Let's look at this. Our workflow is to do, in progress, done. We want to add some more to it. For example, we have our testers, we have our PO, we have our manager. I don't want to use the word manager. When Funke is done with the work, Funke will need Adeola to check it. For everything that we are not developing but we are checking, we want to put in a separate column. We don't want our workflow to just be to do, in progress, done. We want to be to do, in progress, testing, done. So we want to have another column, another status called testing. We can do that here. But before I go in, Veronica.
Yes, sir. I want to find out, can we assign more than one person to an issue if there's a team of maybe more than one person?
Yeah, so there will be a team that will have more than one person. You cannot assign more than one person to a user story. If you have more than one person working on a user story, there are specific things that the two or the three of them are actually doing. You can create subtasks to represent what Veronica is doing as part of the user story, what Imelda is doing as part of the user story, what Gold is doing as part of the user story. Those are subtasks, and you can assign people to those subtasks. For example, look at this. We have create email templates as one of the things that we want to do in this user story. We have draft content, and we want Veronica to be the one to do this. So we assign Veronica to, that's how to say it. Veronica to this one. But they're all part of the user story. We assign Adiola to this one. Okay,
Okay,
Adiola.
sir. I understand that part. I work as a product manager, and for every project we have a team of other teams, like maybe business analysts, developers, and the likes. So most of the time there are more than one, and just one task is given to such team. It's very difficult to now have a subtask where you can assign to different people as a product manager.
Why can't you create subtasks from that? That's asking. Why can't you create subtasks? You should be able to create subtasks from that.
I am just getting into the profession, so I'm just like on my internship stage, so I'm just trying to learn about it. But for the last task I created, I struggle with it because I had to mop them up into one. So I could only assign to just one person, then go to the description to tag the other person.
Yeah, so it also doesn't matter, right? Two people can work on a story, right? And if they have to report it during like their previous plan, they can just report. It doesn't really matter who works on what actually. At the end, it is what has this team delivered. It's not going to be what has Veronica delivered from when we go and do demo to the stakeholders. We're not going to say, oh, you know, it was Imelda that did this user story. It was Veronica that did. No, it's just the team. Right. It's the team. I don't want to get into why you, as a product manager, are the one assigning work to the team. I don't want to get into that. But the team will figure out how to do their work. You will tell them what to do in terms of, you know, the features and the prioritization, but how they'll figure that out. And again, two people can work on one thing and only one person is assigned. It doesn't really matter. Strictly agile. So I want to create another column. In fact, I want to do so many things. You see, this is my sprint backlog, my sprint board. You see, it's the project. This is the project name. This is the sprint name, masterclass sprint 1. This is the sprint goal right here. The people that you see here are people that have something active in the sprint. Nivita, Olu, Funke, Veronica, Paula. At the far right-hand side, you see the remaining days in the sprint. When you put your cursor on it, it shows you the start date of that sprint and the projected end date of that sprint. And you see complete sprint, so we don't complete sprint because it's still in progress. After complete sprint, you see 3 dots. When you click on the 3 dots, you can do a lot of things. You can make a lot of modification, configuration here. So I click on 3 dots, and you see configure board. Configure board. So I click on configure board. And it shows me so many configuration that I can do on this board. It's loading, it should come in a minute. So the first one is column. Right now, we see the columns that we have: to do, in progress, done. I want to actually change this to sprint backlog. I just click on it, and then I say sprint backlog. To change to sprint backlog. This one, let's say I want to change it to in development. In development. In here. This is done, I'll leave done. I want to add another column. So you see this plus button is create column. So I click on it, and then I'll give it a name, say testing. Then I'll add it. So I now have sprint backlog, in development, testing, and done. If I go back to the board, at the top right, you see back to board. If I go back to the board, we're going to see these changes that I've updated. So I click on back to board. Now you see sprint backlog, in development, testing, done. So that's one thing that I can do as part of board configuration. I'll go back to board configuration. Another thing that I can do is swim lanes. But before I go to swim lanes, I need to assign people, because that's when you now see the value of that. So I'm going to just assign people randomly to this. By the way, when you're assigning people, please don't assign people that you cannot see here. Because what happens when you assign people and you mention they're going to get an email notification, and they're like, who is Joe that is assigning me to what, where? So we don't want that to happen. So I'll go to assign me, and I'm just going to assign people as I go. Imelda. So I've assigned Imelda to this one, then I'll go to this one, and I'll assign Aditone to this one, and then I'll go to another one. I'll assign maybe Taiwo, Fumilayo Taiwo, and then I'll go to maybe this one, and then I'll assign Margaret, and then I'll go to this one, and then I'll assign Tai. Oh. Okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna put it. Anyways. Now, swim lanes. I go to board configuration, and I click on swim lanes. Now, what swim lanes does is it structures the way the stories are arranged. Right now, there's no particular structure, just stories. I want to arrange the board based on people. So I'll click on this method here, and I'll choose assignees. And then by the time I go back to the board, you see the way it will look now. So we now have the board arranged based on people and what they have. At the top is Aditone, and this is what Aditone is working on. Next is Imelda, and this is what Imelda is working on. Next is Fumilayo Taiwo, and this is what Fumilayo Taiwo is working on. Next is Margaret. Next is Nivita. Olufunke has two things. The first one is this one, which is in development. The second one is this one, which is done. Veronica has this one. This one doesn't have any assignments. Nobody has been assigned to that. So that is, what do we use this for? Well, it just makes facilitating daily Scrum easier. It's Aditone going first. Everybody sees what Aditone is working on. We're not looking at it like, oh, where's my story? It's here. And the next is Margaret. We just go to Margaret. So this is Margaret. The next is, Veronica. We just go to Veronica. Or we can just do here. Aditone, what are you working on? When we click on this, it's only going to show you what Adetun is working on the board alone. Only Adetun. Let's say it's next Margaret. I want to check and click Adetun and just click Margaret. And it only shows you Margaret. I will uncheck, I'll click on Nivita. So that's that lobby.
Yeah, so basically the swim lanes just it puts it in alphabetical order. Puts the assignees in alphabetical order.
Yes. He arranges the bar based on people. And of course, the people will be alphabetical order. Let me change it from people. I go to configure board and I say the swim lanes, arrange it on epics. And by the time I go back here, you see, we have this expression of interest and what we have on that. The next is publicity and what we have under it. The next is issues without epic. So, you can arrange it. If, say, for example, your team wants to be tracking on an epic by epic basis. Okay, guys, what's happening with publicity? And I just do publicity. And then like people that have publicity stuff, just type of publicity. Okay, what about expression of interest? Depending on what you want to do. Another thing that you can do here as part of configuring your board is to add color to the cards. Right now, it's just the way it is, pretty boring. I want to add based on people. So what Adetun is working on will have a different color. What Imelda is working on will have a different color. So I choose assignees. And these are the colors. Margaret is going to have this color, but I can change it. So Margaret, let me give Margaret this color. This green and green, they're kind of similar. Let me give Imelda maybe like blue. Formula Taiwo, let me give Formula Taiwo this. This. And then by the time I go back to board, now you see, you don't see it very well because I've arranged by, when you see, this is Margaret, you see the color for Margaret. This is Navita, you see the color for Navita. This is Veronica, you see Veronica, you see the colors, they're kind of different per people. One last thing that I want us to do here, before we go to reporting, one last thing is working days. Working days. We have a typical Monday to Friday. But in some sprints, we can have a public holiday on a Monday. And when we have a public holiday on a Monday, it reduces the number of days that we have to work in that project for that sprint. The way that you really see it is when you go back to the sprint, you see it shows 5 days remaining. I'll come here and I'll click on working days. Working days. So I have my Monday to Friday as working days, and then it has non-working days. So I want to make the 5th of February, which is Monday, non-working day, because it's a public holiday. All I need to do is just, you can see, specify holidays or one-off days when your team will be working. So I come here and I say this and I say add. So I've added this as a non-working day. Automatically, it means that I have 4 days remaining. If I go back to the board, you see now, it now shows you that you have 4 days because on Monday, you're not going to work. So that's that. Once Navita starts working on this, she moves it to in development. Once she's done, she clicks on it, and then she puts a comment and she tags Adebayo, for example. Adebayo, please see and proceed with testing. Sorry, just, and then she see. And then Adebayo will see this, and Adebayo, please, if you get an email, can you move this to testing? Just to see. Then we have like maybe just question.
A quick question here, please. If I move story in development, my task will the status of any of the tasks won't change, because if story has moved, more likely one of the tasks might have been moved to in progress or something like that. So it won't change it itself. Like if I have moved my story as the admin, I want to receive blah 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 under in development, right? Now my task create email template draft content, which was under that story, they are still under backlog. How
Yeah.
can it be possible that story is in development and tasks are not being changed itself? That has to be done manually.
Yes. So this application doesn't really give a heck about any status until it gets to done.
I didn't get it. Could you please repeat?
The application doesn't really care so much about other statuses except done.
Okay.
How is this possible? We have 6 subtasks as part of the user story. Once one subtask starts, we can say, yes, that user story has started, right? Because one tiny part of it has started. So the user story. Now, where you will get it is, if you move the user story to done, and some subtasks are still either in progress or in testing, it's going to give you an exception to say, how can this be done when other subtasks as part of this are still not done? Let's practicalize that. So this is your master 4. So this is it, right? And it has all of these subtasks. I move to testing. I move it to done. This is 4. No, it shouldn't go. You should typically say to me, do you want to close all of this? I'm going to check that from the setting. You should come to say, hey, can you close this when you still have other things? I'm going to check that to see what's, maybe I made some changes in the setting. But that's typically what it will do to you to say, okay, you shouldn't close it because you still have several subtasks that are not done. Yeah, you shouldn't, I'll check that in the setting, probably updated the setting. But that's what that will do for you.
Got it. Thanks.
Right.
Hello, Bola. Hello, Bola. Sorry, a quick question. I got the mail that you sent to me, but I can't see this particular, when I click on it, it's not showing me this place to actually move the item. That is one. The second one is that you reduce the date. You created a public holiday on that your board. How do we make up for that one extra day that we are short of?
You have a 4-work week, a 4-day work week. That's it. There's nothing. You would have factored in the number of days that you have to work, and you use that as part of your plan. You can ask people to come to work on that Monday so that you can make up for it. As part of sprint planning, you do your capacity planning, and then you use that to influence how much you take into the sprint. Typically, as part of sprint planning, it's like, oh, is anybody going on leave? Is anybody on vacation? Are there non-working days? And you use that to determine how much you can take. So you balance your capacity with load. Also, at times, I don't know if it happens to other people, like get started when the question comes in. If you just raise your hand, I will acknowledge you. All right, so let's go to reporting. Two big things that we look at in reporting are the Burndown chart and the velocity chart. A Burndown chart shows you how you are completing work real time. Remember, I said for Agile and for Jira, it is either done or not done. The seventh principle says working software is the primary measure of progress. And working software is the software that has been completed. If it's not been completed, it won't show us done. So the Burndown chart is what helps us to track how we're completing work and shows us the amount of work that we still have left. So when you click on Burndown chart, you will see the horizontal line shows you time, date, time. The vertical shows you the total number of story points. So for example, we started this sprint with 15 story points, but this is where we are right now. We have about 8 story points left. It's not really showing very well because I completed all of this within 1 hour of starting. Typically, what your Burndown chart looks like would be something like this. For every time that you complete a user story, not a subtask, for every time that you complete a user story, there's going to be a drop in the chart. The drop will correspond to the value, the story points of the user story, and then the time that user story was moved to done. So for example, let's say this is 10. Right here, it means February 4 at about 8 a.m., I completed a user story that has 5 story points. And that's why this is what we have right now. So that's how to track the progress of your sprint using Burndown charts. Let me see if there is. Yeah, so this tracks the total work remaining and the likelihood of you meeting your goal for the sprint. It helps your team to manage their progress and respond quickly. So that's the Burndown chart. You see it's right here, 8. If I go back to the projects, the active sprints, and I complete this user story that has story points, I complete it. And I go back to the reports and I check the Burndown chart. You see right here. So it's now here. So that's what we use Burndown chart for. The second one is the one to check is the velocity chart. There's really nothing here right now, but velocity chart helps you to track on a sprint by sprint basis how much you commit to, how much you start the sprint with, and how much you end the sprint with. For example, if you start the sprint with 15 story points, and at the end, you only completed 10 story points, it's going to plot a bar chart right here for sprint 1. Let me show you. Right now, it's showing no available sprints because I've not completed it. I'm going to go to the active sprints. And I'm going to try and complete this story. Oh, so you see when it's now coming in the beta, it's not saying, hey, you can't complete this sprint because there are still some subtasks in Master Class 4 that you have moved to done, but that are still not done. But even before this, you should actually tell me that, hey, how can you be done when all of this is done? Do you want to move them down to done first before you do this? But I'm just going to come back here and I'm going to move all of these guys to done so that it allows me to close the sprint, or to complete the sprint, if you will. Now I'll be able to complete the sprints. So you see, complete sprints, 3 issues were completed. 1 issue not done. Where do you move all the issues to? I just moved the remaining ones to the backlog and I click complete sprints. Now, when I click on active sprint, I won't see anything. There's nothing because I don't have the sprint active right now. I've closed it, I've completed it. If I go to reports and I check on my velocity charts, then I will see something. So you see, now I have my velocity chart. Sprint 1, I committed to see the legend, the gray, that gray is commitment. And then the green is completed. I committed to 15 story points, but at the end, I only completed 10 story points. What teams use this for is to help them to predict how much they can commit to on a sprint. If you've been completing 25 for the last 3-4 sprints, that's probably telling you that on the average, all other things being equal, this next sprint, you may not be able to do 40 because your performance, your historical has been 25. So maybe you can try and do 25 or maybe 27, 28, but 40 is being a bit unrealistic, all other things being equal. So that's, Burndown charts. One last thing that I want to, I know I said it's been another. One last thing that I want to do is who has the right to delete work from the sprint? See, I click on this user story and I want to delete it. These 3 dots has more things that I can use. When I click on it, you see it has add flag, convert to subtask, move, clone, X, Y, and Z. It only has these things. There's no delete. Only admin of a project can delete items on that project. Now, how do you become, or how do you assign admin? You go to project settings right here, project settings right here. You click on project settings, and project settings will have a number of things. Some of them will be covered. But you go to people. This is where you add people as admin. So I click on add people, I choose myself, and then I assign myself administrator role. And then I add. Now, when I go back to the project, the same user story and I click on these 3 dots, delete will now come. Without being an admin, you cannot delete. Without being an admin. Again, why? We don't want people to just come in and press file on our stuff and delete the work that we want to do. So we try to control that by only giving people that are admin the right to do that on user space. So maybe the product owner is like the only person who can delete. Okay, this is where, before it turns to 3 hours, this is where I think we will stop for today. I do hope that you were able to follow. I do hope that you got something from this. I'm going to flip it back to Aditone.
Thank you so much, Coach B. And that was beneficial, I can imagine, for most people. I will just take a moment now to see if anyone has any questions that has not been answered. Any questions?
Sorry, Adito, are we able to get the video after the session?
That's a good question, Samuel. And we can work on, so I would have to take that away and get back to you on that. We would work on applying for that. And if possible, we would send out an email to everyone that was in the session with that information. Very good question. Good point. So I see some people asking about the recording. I put our socials in chat, but just to like emphasize again that the recording would be uploaded to our YouTube page. I actually just put that that in the chat again as well. We would have the recording up in the YouTube. All right, I see John with his hand up. John Oseni, did you have a question?
Thanks, Adito.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, I've been on the wheel, so I've been back and forth. I'd like to ask if one can have, how many days access can we have to the Jira stuff?
Good
so I can
question.
go back.
Okay, that's a good question, and I know the access isn't forever, so I'll just flip that question to Coach Bola to address.
Sorry, I was reading
comments. Okay, so John was wondering about how long the access to Jira that we've given, how long would that access last for?
Yeah, we're gonna revoke the access on Monday.
On Monday, okay. So if you want to like practice, you can just use the rest of the weekend to like go over what you've learned. The access would be revoked by Monday. Any more questions? I'm seeing comments in the chat about how brilliant this presentation was, and I absolutely agree. Huge thanks to our brilliant coach as always. Okay, so I see Victor James.
Let me quickly pass and respond to
coach. Okay, Victor, I think you can go ahead with the question.
Great section was really worth the time. What a brilliant presentation. What I was going to say is, I think the last person that asked the question gave one of the questions I was going to ask. I didn't get access to the Jira platform anyway, but I tried to ski on to just maybe follow and see how the whole workflow went, and it was great. I grabbed a lot. I'm going to say I'm good and get my hand on the Jira platform. Well, another question I was going to ask the Coach B was, is there any way we can have a training on maybe MS projects, like detailed explanation like this? I'm really much interested in mine. Yeah.
The recording of this process, that's what are your thoughts?
I'm so sorry, Coach. You'd have to repeat that. I barely heard you.
I said, should we still keep the recording on, since we're just chatting?
I think we can put it off. Yeah.